So hey guys, welcome back to this another tutorial of series performance testing using Grafana K6. So in last tutorials, we have seen how we can write basic scripts for different types of API request types, right? So going forward, we are going to start some advanced concepts, how we can define the options in script itself instead of sending the configurations from command line, right? We will define those options in script itself so that we can perform the load test in more controlled way, right? So before we jump into the next topic, let's I'll still recommend you guys to visit my YouTube channel Pro Estate with AJ, right, where I'm uploading all the tutorials. So just visit my channel and stay tuned for upcoming videos, right? So let's begin. Before we jump, as I mentioned, I have created some notes, right, around the Grafana K6. So in the overview, we can see the first point is open source. So what does it mean? So it's publicly available, it's free to use, so anyone can use, contribute. So that's what the open source tools means. K6 tool is basically K6 is basically like by Grafana K6 group. It is invented in 2026. Later in 2021, Grafana Labs has acquired the K6 and is now managed by Grafana Labs, right? So we know this K6 tool is used for performing load testing and performance testing, right? And it is authored we can write the scripts in TypeScript or JavaScript. K6 originally it is written in Golang, right? So the engine itself is written in Golang, and it is used for backend and browser testing. So backend means you can use you can perform the load test for APIs, you can perform the load test for browser, as in the front end load test is also possible with Grafana K6. Coming to the features, as I mentioned, JavaScript or TypeScript are the languages used to write the scripts. Run anywhere. What does it mean? You can run those scripts from your local machines, or you can host it, or you can perform the load testing from your Grafana cloud dashboards, or you can use your own infra to run the load tests. Automated test execution, so you can configure, you can schedule those tests at a particular duration of time. We can execute the test. So depending upon the requirement and what infra you guys have, based on that you can schedule the jobs and you can perform the load test in off-peak hours. Later, integrate CI/CD. So as I mentioned, we can integrate in a continuous integration, continuous development. You can use Jenkins, GitHub Actions for those purposes. Then store the results, right? So you guys have results at end of your performing load test, right? So you can store those results in various storages, like you can use Prometheus, you can use Datadog, you can use Timescale, you can use New Relic as well, right? Then minimized resources. So since we are using this K6 tool, which is written in Golang, the resources itself are optimized here, and visualize the results in Grafana dashboards. So going forward, we will see we will see all those features in action. First thing first, running K6, I have noted couple of steps, right? So those steps we have to keep in mind while writing our test. So first thing is to write the test, okay? So the scripts we have designed so far, that is nothing but our step one. Later we had to configure the virtual users. So adding a virtual user, so basically what does it mean? Virtual users means what exactly it means, right? So let's assume the scenario, we are performing a API test, and in Postman, let's say we are hitting the request. So it means we are opening up one port from our local machine and sending that request, right? Even if you try to run the collection, right? for a number of iterations. Let's say I'm hitting one get request for 100 times. So in Postman, how it flows is, it open up one port and hit that request. It wait for the response. It wait for status code's completion, and later on another request is sent out from the same port. So one after another execution happens there, but here in the case of K6, we can define the number of virtual users. So if I define, let's say 20 virtual users, it will open up 20 different ports from my local machine, and all those ports starts hitting the request parallelly. So that's how the concept came into the picture. Then increased test duration. So depending upon your requirement, you can perform the stress test, you can perform the load test, right? You can perform the resilience test as well. So in case of stress testing, you had to fire your request for short duration of time, let's say 5 seconds, 10 seconds, right? And in other way, if you want to check your resilience of your infra, you had to perform the load test for longer duration, let's say 10 minutes, 60 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 6 hours, right? So this duration is very important aspect of load test. And the third part of it is ramp the number of requests up or down, right? So request per minute is the thing which we had to configure while performing the load test. Depending upon the requirement, we can increase or decrease the request per seconds. Different commands I have listed here. K6 new is used to start a new script for K6. Then to run the script, if your script name is script.js, you can run that script by using K6 run. And this is usual thing which we have seen in earlier videos also. We can define the options like views, duration, RPS in the command line itself. Going forward, we will not do it through CLI. We will define these things in script itself, and we will simply use K6 run. So this way we can have a more controlled load test for a given script, right? Let's begin. Let's try to understand different set options. What are all set options available in K6? I'll just simply copy this. I'll rename it as Tut7. Tut7. Let's say set options.js. Right now, here in this, what are all things we need? We would need HTTP module. Also, we would need group function. We would need check function. Also, we can say sleep function. So I told you sleep function is used to pause the execution for a certain duration of time. So this way you can pull the different functions from K6. If you try to optimize this, there is another way. You can simply put here check, comma, group, comma, sleep, comma. So all those functions you can import separated by comma. So there is no need to write import functions for different things, right? So you can optimize this in this fashion, separated by commas. Now let me just clean up. I'll just delete this. Export function, default function is the entry point that we would need, where we will write our script. But yeah, let's define some options, right? So export const and options. Options equals to, in curly braces, you can define your options, right? First thing first, I will simply try to hit one get request with let's say the Postman fashion, one after another. So I'll just put iterations equals to sorry, instead of equals I had to put colon, let's say 10. So right? So whatever we will write here, it will be executed 10 times, one after another, right? So this iterations is not commonly used thing, because while performing a load test we don't go for iterations, we go for some different options that we are going to see in a while. So let me put here directly http get method. So it will assume the URL that we are going to specify to be as a get request, and I'll use publicly available API http test.k6.io. This is another API, publicly available API supported by K6, and here we will simply make use of slip function. We will pause the execution for 1 second, that's it, right? Let's try to run this, and let's see if this test is executed for 10 times or not. So how we can run? K6 run and the script path, shift plus alter plus C. The path is copied. Let's try to hit the request. So iterations we have defined are 10. So 3 are completed. You can see it by default assumes virtual users as 1. So one request will be sent out one after another, right? One virtual user is used. Iterations completed 10 shared iterations, and the test was executed for 13 seconds, right? So those details are populated here. Let's explore more options here. As I mentioned, iterations is very uncommon thing for load testing. Usually we had to define virtual users, right? So VUS is the key. Define VUS as, let's say, 10 virtual users we will fire, and let's say duration had to be specified in quotes, because we had to specify is it seconds or minutes, right? So I'll put 20s. 20s means the test will run for 20 seconds, right? And now let's try to hit that. Probably I'll put virtual users as 5. I'm not sure whether my machine supports 5 users or not, so we can keep it low as much as possible initially and rerun the script. So you have defined 5 virtual users, all of them started at 0th second. For all the 20 seconds, all 5 virtual users will be running. Yes, here we go. So you can see virtual users were 5 and the duration was 20 seconds, right? So total 80 transactions has completed, 80 requests got succeeded, right? Let's explore more. Now here the concept comes called ramp up and ramp down of virtual users, right? So what does it mean of ramp up and ramp down? To quickly show that, I'll open up Paint. So this, let's assume this is our timeline, right? And on this timeline, let's say this is for first 10 seconds I want to use 5 users, right? 5 users. For next 10 seconds I will add 5 more, so total becomes 10, right? For next 10 seconds I will add 5 more, so it becomes 15, right? So at this moment you will have 15 users, and later since I had to stop the test, so you should be decreasing this, right? So this will flow like this. This is what called as ramp up, and this is what called as a ramp down. So in the let's say 10, 20, 30, after 30 to 40 seconds, what will happen? There is a ramp down. So at the end you will see there are 0 virtual users out of How many configured? 15. Right? At the end of the test, you will see 0 virtual users. So this is what ramp up is, and this is what called as a ramp down. Right? Let's go back to test and probably let's define ramp down stages. Okay. So for that, we simply have to specify the stages. Right? So how we can define the stages? In square bracket, we will define the stages, something like in curly braces, duration. Right? Duration would be, let's say, first 10 seconds. What should be our target? Target is the key to define the virtual users now. Let's say I want for first 10 seconds, I want, let's say, 5 virtual users. Right? Separated by comma. I will copy this line. Then let's start with something big. Let's say 25. For next, let's say 30 seconds, I want to keep it at 10, and for next within next 20 seconds I will make it 0. Right? So how this flow will work here? Let's go back to Paint. Right? So this is our timeline. So for the first 10 seconds, our target would be at 25. So let's assume this is our 20 second, this is 40, this is 60, and let's say this is 10, 30, 50. Right? So for first 10 seconds, your target is at 25. Right? Let's assume this is our 25 line. So for first 10 seconds, number of virtual users will be 25. Right? I will specify 25. For the next 30 seconds, it will go down to 10. Right? So the virtual users for next 30 seconds will go down to 10. Right? And in next 20 seconds it will become 0. Right? So in the next 20 seconds it will become 0. Right? So we have 3 points here. Here the virtual users will be 25, then here the virtual users will be 10, and here it will go down to 0. So we are doing a ramp down stages. Right? So that's how we can define our stages. Let's complete this and try to run it. So now you can observe, now I am not defining anything in the script, but we will pass everything into the script itself. Right? Let's try to run this, and as we know, the test will execute for, let's say, 10 seconds plus 30 seconds for plus 20 seconds. That means the test will execute for 1 minute. Okay, it's already started executing the test, and the rest of the flow would remain same. It will hit that get request. Further we will add a couple of more validations also, but for now let's try to wait for the results of this execution. You can see the users are slowing down, and at the end of the test it will become 0. So out of 25, at the end of the test it will become 0. Yeah, that's it. So total 25 users which were in ramp down fashion, at the end of the test it becomes 0, right? So that's how you can perform a ramp down style load test. Now I will put some assertions also. So instead of hitting this, right, we will simply add some checks, but we will store that response first. Const res, we will store it in const res, and we will append some assertions on top of that. So this will be our check function. So whatever we have defined here, check, sleep, are used here. So check will define res, comma, we'll just look for the status message we will print is 200, right? And we will check it from the response. Okay, r dot status equals to 200, right? Let's try running this. You can see the logs, and the test has started. Views are gradually increasing to 25. So for the first 10 seconds it will make use of 25 users, then it starts reducing. The virtual users are started reducing. I'll skip the video till end of this test. Yep, so you can see the virtual users are now reduced to 9, 8, 7. At the end of the test, virtual users will go down to 0. Yep, so you can see it become 0. So that's how the ramp down mechanism is applied for virtual users, right? So these are the stages we have defined. Same thing we can define it for RPS as well. So going forward in upcoming tutorials we will see more advanced techniques to perform a stress test or let's say load test or resilience testing, right? So yeah, that's it for today. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. Bye bye.